Hey guys, how's it going? It's Michael here, and I am back with another video. This one will be about kind of a little struggle that I'm kind of dealing with at the moment, and it's about SSRI. I don't know if you guys know what this is, but it's a type of medication. It's a psychiatric medication. It's usually prescribed by psychiatrists for like anxiety or depression. And basically what it does is it works with your serotonin receptors, and it keeps more serotonin floating in your brain to help you deal with psychiatric symptoms, right? So yeah, what am I dealing with right now? I'm actually going through some SSRI withdrawal right now, believe it or not. I mean, it's not that bad, to be honest, but it is kind of something that I will talk about in case it helps other people, to give you kind of my little experience with it. And also I want to share a little bit about like some general how does this relate generally to like one's experience of life, and what kind of insights have I gathered from this withdrawal experience and so forth. So yeah, I think I started using SSRIs. Sertraline is the one that I was using, and I started about 2 or 3 years ago. My dosage, started off with like a standard 50 milligram dose, but I lowered it over time just for personal preferences. It was a little too strong for me. I didn't like the feeling of it too much, so I lowered it to half. I took half of the standard dose, basically. So I was taking half a pill of sertraline to kind of just give me a little bit of like an energy boost, because I was dealing with symptoms related to depression, about like ruminating thoughts, lack of energy and motivation. Those were the problems I was dealing with. So I kind of just needed like something to boost me a little bit, to help me get through work and to help me function as a normal person. So that's the reason why I was even taking SSRIs to begin with. And it did help, honestly. Like it gives you energy somehow. Like the serotonin, it's a neurotransmitter in your brain, and it really does help you to like regulate your functioning as a human being in day-to-day life, right? So I don't want to ramble too much, so I'm gonna keep going now. I came here to Vietnam about a month ago, and about 2 weeks ago, I was in this kind of like reflective period in my life or whatever, right? So, and not working or anything, just kind of like chilling, reflecting, and thinking about what I'm gonna do with my life. And just suddenly one day I had this this little like gut feeling or something, whatever you want to call it, this little like inkling of an idea of maybe I should just stop using sertraline, this SSRI. Maybe I should just stop. Why am I still taking this medication, right? Because at that point I've just been taking the half pill every day, every morning, not really thinking about it, not really thinking about like the effects that it's having on me anymore. And I don't know, I just had this idea. I'm just gonna stop and see what happens. So it's been about 2 weeks now, and the really crazy thing, I'll talk about like the symptoms and everything shortly, but I just want to start with this one experience that I had right at the beginning that kind of like blew my mind a little bit. I remember maybe like 3 days after I stopped, I was doing yoga. I'm not like a regular yoga person, but the girl that I'm dating, she sometimes does yoga, and she wanted to take me to yoga, so I tried it out, and I was in the yoga session, you know, doing the stretches or whatever, all that kind of yoga poses and everything. And afterwards, like, you feel so like relaxed when you do yoga because you've done all this stretching. It kind of like helps you to like release and ground all this energy and whatever, right? So I felt really relaxed, but then the next day I felt so interesting, so weird, so like something about that morning after like opened my eyes to something crazy that I had forgotten. Like 3 years since I started taking the SSRIs. So basically, the next morning came. At that point, it's been about 3, maybe 4 days without sertraline. So this stuff is basically out of my system. My brain is kind of on its own, so to speak, in terms of serotonin, right? My brain now has to come up with its own serotonin. So, you know, I go outside and I'm feeling kind of like spacey, a little bit lightheaded, right? And it's a weird feeling because sertraline gives you like this feeling where you're just like mentally like alert and present, like you just feel like you're on it mentally when you're on sertraline. And then to suddenly go out and have this like spacey feeling, like you're kind of like your mind is losing like its like center or something, felt really weird. And but even like stranger than that, I started to have, well, 2 things actually. Well, 3 things, okay? 3 things started to happen. First thing, I started to become more aware of like my feelings and sensations in my body. So like I was saying, like sertraline keeps you like mentally there, mentally on and like focused. But like suddenly I felt like my mind, like I kind of like took a step out of my mind and was like in my body suddenly, super aware of what's happening in my body. And it was weird. Like I remember like people looking at me, and I was like feeling in my body like how my body was reacting to like it felt like my mirror neurons in my brain were like activating. Somebody looking at me and smiling, like I suddenly felt it in my body, and I felt like happy when somebody was like smiling at me, like I wanted to smile back. It's like a mirror neuron thing or something like that. But like that was one thing that happened. And another thing was I started feeling kind of like a little, like, I wouldn't say like panic, but like I was feeling a little nervous because these like sensations were reminding my mind of like how I was 3 years ago before I was taking the meds, and how like certain feelings in my body would cause me to like close off or withdraw in certain ways. And for some reason that spiked in me this kind of like anxiety or fear that what if I start reacting in those same ways? Am I going to become the anxious, depressed person I was before. Like that was the anxiety that like kicked in. But that feeling of like aliveness in my body reminded me, this is the third thing, I was reminded of the time of how I was before I started taking SSRIs. So, you know, not only was I like a little anxious and depressed, but there were like good things that I remembered before as well. I felt so like alive. I felt like raw emotions in my body. Like I forgot what that was like to feel happy when somebody like smiles at you. And I forgot, like, because I don't know, like when I was on SSRIs, it's like I couldn't really feel raw emotions. And somehow that helped me to, you know, grind and work and survive. But like it also kind of like dulled my emotional life. I felt like the past 3 years of my life were kind of like gray. It's like when it's a cloudy day and everything is gray and you don't really feel anything. There's no vibrancy to life. That's kind of like the past 3 years. But then that one experience where my body was feeling awake and everything, felt like emotions were like coming back. Like I was starting to see like colors again. And I was like, holy shit. So, you know, there was that awe, that feeling of like, oh my God, I forgot what life was like and how alive I felt before SSRIs. But also there was the fear of like, what if I cannot handle this? What if these like feelings that I'm having make me nervous and I go inward and go back to depression and all that kind of thing? So there was those two like opposite sides that came in when I initially started to get off the SSRIs. So that was kind of a wild like initiation into this SSRI withdrawal. But I'm happy to say that, you know, for some reason, maybe I was just lucky, but after that initial first experience, things have been feeling pretty like smooth in a way since then. Like smooth in a sense where I haven't had any extreme like anxiety or anything, and also I haven't been having those like extreme feelings of awe. It kind of like turned into this like flatness. It just became like this emotional flatness where, you know, my brain no longer has all of this serotonin and I just feel like kind of flat and like not much energy, and like I can see things happening but I don't have like the energy to like do anything. My body just felt so heavy. So those were the withdrawal symptoms that I felt. It's like emotional like flatness and like body feeling heavy, super tired sometimes as well. Like just having to like thank God I'm in between jobs. This is a perfect time to stop taking SSRIs because I was literally like laying out in the sun for like 2 hours a day just because I was so exhausted, and I felt like the sunlight was like entering me, and like I was feeling like a plant on photosynthesis or something, you know, like it was like rejuvenating me. I was like absorbing energy from the sun, like, so I was just really tired basically. And now I'm about 2 weeks into the SSRI withdrawal, and I'm starting to feel like some of that energy coming back, some of my, you know, my own natural energy. And I feel like those years that I've been on SSRIs have given me like this kind of like mental framework where I don't need to go back to those depressive reactions anymore that I used to, right? Like before SSRIs, I think I was just feeling overwhelmed by things happening around me, and I physically didn't know how to like handle it. But now I kind of just know what to do. I have more confidence, you know. I know what it's like to not feel so overwhelmed now, so it kind of gives me like a framework that I can use now that I'm off SSRIs. So yeah, it's good. My energy's coming back. I'm feeling better. So you know, video is getting long, so I'm just gonna summarize this a little bit. I'm gonna say if you are on SSRIs and you want to get off, maybe you know your life is starting to feel a little bit flat or something, you want to feel more emotion again, I would say do it slowly, because I was on a half dose and I stopped, right? So that's much easier than if somebody goes from a full dose to nothing. So don't go too quickly. You might overwhelm yourself and have to go back. So taper slowly is my suggestion. Cut your dose by half and see how you feel for at least a month, because it'll take you at least a couple weeks to adjust. You know, if you feel good after 2 weeks, I would say cut it in half again. Or, you know, just cut it in half, or go from half to zero, whatever makes sense, but just don't go too quickly, because I've tried that in the past and it backfired. But this time I went from a half dose to zero. And I also have this other medication I'm taking, which is kind of a stimulant. It's called Wellbutrin. It's another one used in depression. This one is kind of a stimulant, so it keeps you like awake. So yeah, I've been feeling tired, but this thing kind of like keeps me awake, keeps myself on while all this is happening. So anyway, things are good, so just take it slow. Take it slow. And if you are experiencing SSRI withdrawal, you know, probably should speak to your doctor if you want to learn how to handle it properly. But I just wanted to share my own insights and things that happened to me. Hope it helped. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, like, comment, subscribe. Yeah guys, see you in the next video.